My little son was the one here with a bag, playing on his back and playing the guitar, acting crazy, embarrassing mom and dad. And Scarlett, my daughter, and then my wonderful wife, Missy, back there. While we were doing praise and worship, she said, make sure you go and knock it out of the park. This morning we were talking about baseball, so it made sense. She's quite the Cambodian. I've taught her well, I think.
You know where I get it.
So, anyways, yes, that's my family. I've been here several times. So coming here and just bless you guys with the word. The word speaks to me, somebody who's not necessarily in the church, but from Plymouth, quite a distance away from here. And as I was praying, I said, Lord, what do you want us to do today? What is it you want to do on Father's Day? Because most of the time, Father's Day is one of those things where you come to church and you hear the same message. I don't know if you've ever been to many churches, but you always hear the exact same message. It's, Dad, you've done a bad job. You need to do better. And I guess I go to a different church than you guys, man. I'm telling you. Because that's what I've heard most of my life, and obviously I wasn't a father until about this, just shy of 5 years ago, so it never really sparked something in me. Of course, I took what I could from it and those kind of things. But I was like, Lord, what do you want to do? And I just started thinking about the idea of baseball. And many times people, their greatest memories are a father or father figure has taken them to a game. Anybody relate with that?
Gosh.
Go out to the park or whatever. Well, coincidentally, I was like, Lord, last night I was praying and said, Lord, are you sure you told me this is right? Because anybody watch that debacle last night on TV?
Amen.
Anybody? 11-6 or whatever it was, they got spanked. Casey was
That's why he ain't wearing their shirt.
embarrassing. No. So anyway, so I was like, Lord, what is it you want to say to everyone this morning? What is it you want to do for us? What is it that you want to impregnate in our hearts that cause a seed to be planted, that would grow and create a harvest in our lives? Where do you want to take us, God? Where do you want to make us go in our lives? And I began to think about it, and I just said, you know what, Lord, I see this. I see where you want to go. And so I put together a quick little video just to kind of set the mood, just to kind of get you guys ready for this. So I'm going to say roll it. Well, that will. There it is. One of the greatest praise and worship tunes ever, right? You guys are pretty good. these kind of things, somebody think, what is happening? Why is he playing baseball? You know, I began to, as I was praying, like I said, I began to want to paint a picture of something. How many of you guys remember what these are? I'm going to give away, I'm just going to throw these to people. Please don't open them just in case somebody has a peanut allergy or whatever. Just open them later or whatever. But here, throw them over that side. Make sure you catch. There you go. Hold on. Because you know, you've got people running around saying, get your Cracker Jacks, get your Cracker Jacks, get your hot dogs, get your mustard, your relish. Here, help me pass it out. My man of water. You know what? That was going for you guys. There you go. All right, so.
Good thing you don't play baseball.
I know, right? I wouldn't be playing for the Tigers, that's for sure. So anyway, so the whole thing was I just began to think about it. Instead of this idea that, man, when we go to the baseball park, you know, even from the point when we drive into the parking lot, we are paying big money to park. We're, you know, all these people are excited and these people are happy. There's this anticipation, there's this excitement. And you begin to paint this picture of like, you know, you sit at home and you're getting your gear on, just like I asked people to wear today for the Detroit Tigers gear. You know, the baseball hat. You're getting it all ready. You're ready to go. You get in your car, you drive there, you pull in the parking lot. You pay your tickets, you go in, and there's just this energy, this excitement, this anticipation, this, I don't know how to put more words on it except you guys know what I'm talking about. When you go in there, there's not an atmosphere of boring. I had the privilege of taking my kids out on the field, I guess within the last year, and they got to run the bases out there. It was, and even with nobody in the stands, it was just something mystic about it. You know, and you got to look up in there, and it was just amazing, just this painted picture of these seats, even though they were empty, but all the ads were still there. And I could just see the people running around, like the concession people. Get your cold water, because sometimes it's hot. You know, and we're all sitting there. Sometimes it's been hot, like it was the last couple of days.
Like today.
Thank goodness we're not in Texas and Arizona. I don't know if you guys have seen how hot they are right now. But they're in the 110s, 117, I think it was in Vegas. So anybody want to know how to melt your face off really quick? Just fly to Vegas and be happy. So anyway, so we're just paint this picture. You're buying these hot dogs. You're paying $20 for a little hot dog that you would pay 99 cents for at the grocery store, and smothered in mustard and relish, and just getting ready for the team to come out. And if you watch this video, there was like multiple things that came up, and it said stuff like always remember, always strive, always a fan, always your team, always believe, and always a Tiger. And if you guys used to watch that, you knew where I was going, I wouldn't even have to preach it, because they did the preaching for me. But the first thing he said is, always remember. And so, the way that I wanted to relate this whole situation and whole idea of being a Tiger or going to the Tigers game to life in general is the experience of life. Our life should look like our experience is going to a ball game. You know, a lot of times we get up in the morning and sure enough, we don't want to go to work. We don't want to put on makeup. We don't want to do, I don't put on makeup, just you're welcome. I don't, you know, but I'd just rather sit in my pajamas all day long and do nothing. If I had it my way, if God would let me and He would pay my bills for me, I would sit in the lounger all day long and just do this, right? That's the real Father's Day experience. He's telling you.
With a fan on high.
Fan on high, air conditioner as cold as I can get it. So, but I was talking about the experience of life and how that we should view life like that. We should be prepared. We should do things. And it says always remember. The key ingredient to the experience is about making memories in our life. Because what will happen is when we make good memories, when life comes and beats us to our knees, because it will at times, life will come and kick you so hard you can't even get up, you think, by your own strength. But it's when you make good memories in your life, you have that little bit to keep you going. You know, and especially in the Christian walk, this is how it does. Is there's an enemy out there, in case you didn't know, there is an adversary named the devil who is out to get you. He wants you to fail. He wants you to believe that you're not good enough. He wants you to believe that you're not going to achieve anything in your life. He wants you to believe that you'll always be beaten down and always be poor in spirit and always be lowly. He wants you to believe that. He wants you to believe that every relationship you ever have will fail. He wants you to believe that your marriage is going to fail. He wants you to believe that your house is going to be repossessed, or that you won't get an apartment, or whatever it is. He wants you to believe that. And when life starts kicking you, and I know you guys know what I'm talking about, you felt it. I'm sure if you turned around, I can see all the scars on your backside where life has kicked you. We've got to remember the good times. Keep us going. That's why it's so important as fathers and as mothers, we take the role as fathers to get your children in church and create good memories, get a positive Christian atmosphere. Because when the enemy comes and starts kicking these kids with depression and oppression and all that high schoolers deal with, and right out of college, almost every single child leaves the church, unfortunately, when they turn 18. Because most of the time they don't have the positive memories that they need to keep them going. They're not connected where they need to be connected. They're not connected to the vine that gives life. I relate this to a scripture, and I know that I'm painted with a big, gigantic, broad paintbrush. But the Bible says, talking about the Word of God and how sometimes we forget the Word of God, and it says it's like a man seeing himself in a mirror and walking away and forgetting. The memories that we have, we've got to hold fast to the good things in our lives. We have to hold on to them. And we have to remember them. We have to say, you know what? I'm going to remember this. The Bible actually says over 150 times, God specifically talks to his people and says, remember. Did you know that's not God's job to remember something? He's telling you to remember something. That means that you have to take ownership of that. You have to take a hold of that as a personal person and say, you know what, God? I'm going to hold on to that. And I'll tell you something pretty incredible about my son. We knew he was going to have tremendous health issues in the womb. Tremendous health issues. And many times they came to us and asked us if we wanted to discontinue his birth because they knew he was going to have so many issues and they didn't see anything positive in him. And in the natural, it looked like we should just do that, even though we weren't going to. But in the natural, that's what it was. But God came, the Holy Spirit came to my wife and spoke something very simple to her. In the middle of it and said, I'm not done knitting him yet. It was that simple. It wasn't something big, and a cloud didn't come. I didn't see an airplane with those letters flying and tell us. But we just knew God's not done knitting him yet. Every surgery, we could have turned away and said, you know what? No, we're going to forget that word that he spoke to us. Every time he coded on us and died in front of our eyes, we could have forgotten it. Every time that he didn't show the positive signs that we were believing in him for, we could have forgotten that. Always remember. Always remember what God spoke into your life. God said that you're beautifully made. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. He tells you to remember that. He tells you to remember that you're made in his image. He tells you to remember that you're worth something. He tells you to remember Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans of good and not of evil. Plans to give you a future and an expected end. Remember. When the devil comes a knocking, remember. This too shall pass. It's temporary. I say it like this. If I ask you, anybody remember Alan Trammell?
Yes. Yeah.
Does anybody remember Kirk Gibson?
Yeah.
Does anybody remember Al Kaline?
Yeah.
Does anybody remember Justin Verlander?
Yeah.
You guys remember that? No questions asked. You guys know it. You remember those hits. You remember those catches. You remember those home runs. Remember what God said about you the same way. Remember what he said about you. Remember he said that you are something worth it. Remember he sent his son to die for you before he even knew you. You are worth it. Another key ingredient to the experience is always striving. This is experiencing God's life for you. We must strive. The word strive is pretty interesting because it means to just try harder or do more or go further than what you're already doing. I was reading Facebook this morning because I'm a Facebook troll, and what that means is somebody who just sits there and constantly looks at it and that kind of stuff. So I do that because my wife says I'm nosy, but I do it to keep up with my friends. But so there's a debate that goes on in our house. But anyway, so I say this. I was looking at it this morning, and somebody had posted about striving, and it was just real simple. And I know you guys have probably heard this cliche, but it said, if you want something you've never had, you've always got to do something that you've never done. Go further, go higher, go further, go further than you ever thought you could go. Try something new in your life. Whether it's, I don't know, start working with the church in a way, come up and clean the church, or start reading your Bible like you've never done, or call a friend you haven't called in forever and just tell them, you know what, you matter to me today. Try something new. Try something different. Always strive, because everyone's born with the potential of greatness. I hear it said like this, is, people need to get out of wishbone and get backbone. And we wish a lot of things in our lives. We do. There's a lot of people who have dreams that have never been accomplished. I could be only speaking to myself. But there are times where I wanted to achieve something, but because I didn't put the work and the effort and the striving for more, I didn't achieve that in my life. And part of having the experience of God is to try harder. I know you might feel like you can't, but I promise you can. And I'll prove it. Because you know what? I guarantee you every one of those tigers have been told that before. Enough is not enough. Let's try harder. None of you would buy tickets if we had just people who just were living on barely get by street there as our tigers. Bat 150 every time. Pitch at 9906. You know what I mean? You know what that is? Nobody's going to go pay to watch that. Life is going to pass you by if you don't strive. Next, always a fan. Part of the experience is enjoying yourself. Part of your life should be you should enjoy yourself. When's the last time you made yourself laugh? The Bible says a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. Make yourself laugh. Make yourself happy. Did you know that you can do that? And you don't have to hurt people to do that. Go find a dumb movie to watch. Man, sometimes I have to pull out the Dumb and Dumbers or whatever those are, movies like that most people would say, just make me laugh. When I feel pretty upset or frustrated, or I have to make myself laugh. I have to be a goofball sometimes because life is too short to live mad. Life is too short to live for unforgiveness and anger and frustration. Life is too short for that. And again, did you know what's cool? God doesn't fix that for you. God gave you the power to fix it. There's a difference. He said in His presence is fullness of joy. And you're down, it's pretty simple. Get into His presence somehow. Whether it's laugh or, those kind of things. Always a fan. Be happy. Paul found a way to be happy in prison. He wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. And yes, in the church we idolize Paul. We lived up his teachings and we follow him as powerful as Jesus in most cases. But most of what he wrote, he was sitting in shackles and chains, chained up inside a prison. And yet he was still smiling. He was still happy.
You're still praising God.
He was still excited about Jesus, even though, man, they threw him in prison for being excited about Jesus. For being excited about a life-changing, power-given thing that came inside of him, and he just couldn't keep his mouth shut about it. And they threw him in prison, and that didn't stop him. As a matter of fact, he said, I count all of these things dumb. And in the old days, the word dumb is equal to us throwing out the S-bombs. And so it's not just saying, oh, it's just poop. No, it was like, I'm saying this in the equivalent of This is the worst thing I can think of. This is excrement on the second level, and I count all of this in prison dung to the compared to the eternal weight of glory. As a matter of fact, he got so excited a couple of times, at least once, where he and another brother got so excited that the prison walls just opened up. The power of God just came in and opened up everything. They walked, all the prisoners just walked right out. You got to find a way to get happy. You got to find a way to make yourself happy. Too many times we walk in this life broke, busted, and disgusted. And we just hope. And we hope. Woe is me. Nothing good's ever going to happen. Always your team. Just like that. When we see the D, we know what team is ours.
Amen.
We got to know which team we belong to. Take some time to celebrate your friends and family, your church family, your regular family. Celebrate them. When's the last time you told them how beautiful they look, how wonderful they are? This world is too quick to break everybody down. This world is too quick to tell you how awful you are, or how ugly you are, or how much you're never going to achieve, or how stupid you look. That's what the world loves to do. But I dare you to create a culture of encouragement in your life.
Yes.
I dare you to create a culture of encouragement with all the people around you. Start telling people how good their shirt looks. Start complimenting people. Stop worrying about who's going to stab you in the back and start making sure that you take the knives out of everybody else's back.
Amen.
Start doing something different for yourself. Start celebrating your family. Celebrating your team, the team that you're on in the church. You know, the church is quick to gossip. Why don't you spread some good gossip? Start talking good about people. So say, hey, you know what happened to this brother? Man, you know, he's got the best smile ever. He just shakes people's hands. Man, he's a great person to be around. Start talking good about people.
Yes.
The Bible says, sow and you shall reap. You notice how people start talking good about you? Start talking good about them.
Amen.
Always your team. Always your team. I tell you what, help change the system, because the system's broken. The system wants to hurt you. And I've heard it said like this: there's only two choices in life. You're either part of the solution or you're part of the
Problem.
Amen.
If the system's broken, be part of the solution. Start loving people like never before. Start talking good about people. It doesn't matter if you know what's wrong with them. Find something good about them. And my wife, you know, there's times where people come and show them their kids or whatever. And there's been a time where there was one lady who came up and her kid was less than attractive. And wasn't blessed by Jesus, I don't think. And she found out she's leaving. She said, wow, those beautiful feet.
No, I said, cute little feet.
No, find something good to say. Find something positive to say. You guys have all met that baby before. Don't act like you haven't seen that baby. The parents are like, wow, look at this baby. You're like, wow, yeah, that's great. God bless you. Jesus healed this baby.
Shame the devil, honey.
How was it thrown out here first? Always believe. Always, meaning in all ways, or in all of our choices, or in all the things that we do. In all ways. Always believe. Always believe the best. Again, this world has told you that you're supposed to, your first nature is to believe the worst. Oh, I'm never going to get that job, even though I applied. Just because they hadn't called you back in 35 minutes, you're not going to get that job. Like, well, they forgot about me. Always believe. Believe Believe the best in yourself. Believe the best in people. Believe the best in your relationship with Jesus. Believe the best. Now, it's not always going to be the best, but it doesn't have to always be the worst.
Amen.
Because if you choose not to believe, I promise you, it's probably never going to be good. At least you have a shot to be good. It's like, now I've never won the lottery. I'm sure probably none of you have won the lottery either. And if you have, you need to come see me because I know how to help you with that influx of problem you've got in your hand. But you can't win the lottery without buying a ticket. And the point is with believing, you've got to believe if it's ever going to get good. If your life is ever going to get, and I don't mean to be a millionaire. I'm not trying to use money to say that because, money doesn't buy happiness. Now, it can change a few things in your life. It can. But happiness comes from the inside, like let's talk about it here. We want to be free like Jesus. We want to be free. Freedom is everything. Always believe. Hebrews 11:6 says, by an act of faith, Enoch skipped death completely. They looked all over and over and over and couldn't find him because God had taken him up. We know on the basis of reliable testimony that before that he was taken, Enoch pleased God. For it's impossible to please God apart from faith. And why? Because anyone who wants to approach God must believe both that he exists and that he cares enough to respond to those who seek him. Just like when the Tigers have a good season or a bad season, most people, when you hear them, and I worked in a coffee shop for a little while, and it was always the talk, it was happening to the Lions more often probably than the Tigers, but after the season, it's going to be better next year. You guys ever heard that, especially with the Lions? Just wait till next year. And they still go 4-12 every single year. It's going to be better next year. But you know what? There's something simplistic about this that we need to get a hold of. It's easy to believe that it's going to be better next year for the Lions. But for our lives, it's so hard to believe that it's going to be better. We go through pain, we go through suffering, we go through the loss of a loved one, or the loss of a relationship, or those kind of things, and then we're like, well, God doesn't care about us. Who does he care for? All he wants to do is sit up, and this is unfortunately the way that a lot of people see God, is they see this guy with a big bushy white hair, this big long beard, and a white flowing robe, with a big whip just waiting to bust your butt every time you make a mistake. And that is so far from the truth. Somebody has, these cartoons and these pictures, they put it out there, and it's absolutely not true. I mean, any of you who are a father or a mother, if you had a child, and they came to you and said, you know what, I'm so sorry, I spilled my bowl of milk in the kitchen. Daddy, can you come help clean it up for me? Do you think my first response is going to be, well, let's bend over right now? Is that going to be your first response? Then why do we see God like that? God's a God of grace, I promise you. He's not just waiting for you to mess up that one time. He's not just waiting for you to mess up so he can say, man, I told you so. You need to stink. He's still real bad. He's not waiting to kick you out of heaven. He's not waiting to kick you while you're down. And I've had many conversations with people, and that's really that's what they identify as God being. And again, it's so far from the truth. And that's why I read the scriptures, because we've got to understand that God exists, first of all, that we know there's a God, and second of all, that he cares enough to respond to those who seek him. And care doesn't just mean that he hears us. Care means he literally is there to comfort. He's there to care. He's there to be a part. He's there to make it happen. When we begin to see God, that he's making it happen for our lives, we begin to change our vision. We begin to change the things where I see. When we begin to see God and we begin to see life as good things, and things are going to happen for us. We're not just going to be broke, busted, and disgusted, but we're going to be more than enough. The Bible says he's made us more than conquerors through him who loved us. And conquering is what we're going to do in this life. And these trials, oh, they're nothing. I count those those as dung to the eternal weight of glory. Because I know the one who overcomes it. I know the one that turns the mountain in a molehill into nothing with a seed of faith. Last but not least, always a tiger. Most of you are here are tigers for life. You don't wake up one day a Cubs fan, the next day a White Sox fan, the next day a Yankees fan. And if you do this, I guess you got bipolar or something, I don't know. No, but you get the point. When you're a tiger, you're a tiger. And this is where I'm going to take a few minutes to speak to the fathers. The mothers as well. But when you're a father, you're a father. You don't wake up one day a dad, wake up the next day a couch, wake up the next day a building. It doesn't change. Guess what? You're a dad. You got people counting on you. You got little kids. And the next generation is counting on you to step up. It's counting on you to walk in a way that's full of character and integrity and passion. They're counting on you to love them unconditionally. They're counting on you to give them everything that you know in life to help them be better in the next generation. They're counting on you to love them. They're counting on you to care for them. They're counting on you to provide for them, both emotionally and physically, and they're counting on you. Always a tiger. Always a father. You don't get to divorce your children. That's right. Unfortunately, in this life, there are times when people can't see eye to eye, or people die, or things like that, and there's left with single fathers or single relationships. And guess what? Those kids are counting on you.
Yes.
And those kids are counting on you. They're counting on you to bring a smile to their face when life has kicked them down. And you know what, even more so? They're looking to you to be the perfect example of what God is supposed to look like on this earth. I had to quit the ministry altogether for a little while at one point because you know what? I had to give my entire time to my kids. My kids were both my wife and my children. Because you know what? I want them to know what God looks like on a personal level. I don't want them to ever question who God is. Amen. Because you know, I may be the only God they ever saw in their entire life. How dare me not represent who I serve? How dare me carry a cross and tell my children that you can't do this? How dare they not see me do this? When they're down, it doesn't matter who was around. I'm going to be there to put a smile on their face. And I'm not saying this to glorify myself, because I have nothing inside of me except for Jesus. Because I'm a broken person just like all of you, I can promise that. There's nothing special about me. The only thing is I'm choosing to do what God told me to do, and that was always be a tiger, always be a father, always wear that D with pride. Wear that D with pride. Wear that father with pride. This is the best kid I've ever seen in my life. Believe the best. Always remember. Always strive. Always a fan. Always your team. Always believe. And always be a tiger. So as you walk through life, as I get ready to close today, as you begin to walk through your life and your daily life and your daily walk, do your best to begin to hypothetically put on your gear every day. Hypothetically, be the best father you can ever be. Put on that D. Get your cars every day. So you know what? I'm going to strive for something more. I'm not going to settle for what's less. I'm going to believe the best for my life. And I'm going to believe the best for my family's life. And I'm going to believe the best for my child's life. And I'm going to believe the best in all that I do. I'm going to take a step of faith, and I might get knocked down, and I might get kicked down, But I tell you what, there's somebody there to catch me, and I'm going to believe that. I'm going to believe that He's not only God in heaven, but that He cares for him, for me. I'm not going to settle any longer in my life. Because you know what? I wear a D with pride. I've got that patch. I got World Series to my name.
Amen.
I'm going to hit home runs today.
Amen.
I'm going to knock it out of the park today. Father, I thank you right now for your word. God, I thank you that your word takes root in our hearts. God, that your word is alive and powerful. You said that it's sharper than any two-edged sword that enables to separate the asunder the soul and the spirit. God, I thank you that it's going to the very depths of us, that these seeds are planted in our hearts and will take root and cause a harvest to begin to be growing in our lives. God, I thank you right now that not only did you give me a word to speak to everyone else, Lord, that I'm able to walk through this word the same way. God, that I'm able to live in all these things that you've called me to do. God, I thank you right now for expanding all of our borders in this place today. God, I thank you right now that you've given us the hypothetical D on our shirt. That it's basically the cross, that we take up that cross and carry it the way you told us to, God. And Lord, I just love you and I thank you for everything you're doing in our lives. And we give you all the glory and honor today. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Betsy.
Go Tigers! Go Tigers! Take the Lions with you. I pray God bless you. I pray God bless you.
That was a good one.
All the dads, not only because those that have been here or are able to be here, but on your way out, Brother Jerry Cooper has a gift for the dads. The dads. On your way out, to see him. Nothing big, but just a little thank you for being who you are. And I just want to thank God for you and hope to see you next Sunday. Good morning, guys. Ms. Father, the joy of the Lord is our strength, my God. And when you do this, when you spoke it back in the beginning, my God, and when you spoke, Lord, you spoke life, and you spoke peace, and you spoke joy, my God. And Lord, I ask you this day, with that joy, with every dad's joy this afternoon, my God. Every father, let them rejoice as they look upon their children. Let them rejoice as they look upon their mates, Father God. Let them rejoice as they look upon their home, their hard labor, their work, all that they've done to make a house a home. But Lord, I ask you to teach us to be a father after our Heavenly Father. Show us how to do this, my God. Lord, we need this instruction. And Lord, I'm still learning myself because I have not, and I'm far from